Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I have for you guys another book review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second and last book in the King of Scars duology. I've been a fan of the Grisha-verse books for a long time. I first read Shadow and Bone like middle school, and I read Six of Crows a couple of years ago and I loved it. And I had waited to get King of Scars. I was going to buy it in paperback, but that just never happened. So I finally got King of Scars, and then I got This Beautiful Boy when it came out in March. And I read them both for the first time over April and into the beginning of May. So now here we are. Yes, this is my review. There are going to be spoilers. It's going to be spoiler filled. Just a forewarning. This is your spoiler warning, guys. Yeah. Let's just dive in. You know what I'm saying? I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I also gave King of Scars 4.5 out of 5 stars. I have a lot of conflicting opinions about this duology. One thing that I'm pretty sure on is I like this one better than King of Scars. However, it wasn't significant enough to earn 5 stars. Yeah, I don't really know. I went into this duology thinking that it took place in between the end of Ruin and Rising, so the end of Shadow and Bone, and the beginning of Six and Crows, which I was dead wrong. It takes place a couple of months, I think, after Crooked Kingdom ends. So that was really surprising. I also didn't know it was going to be as Nina focused as it was. I thought it was really only going to be about Nikolai, Zoya, Jenya, David, Tamar, Toya. Those were the central characters I had in mind. I had no idea Nina would be as important in this duology as she was. So that was interesting. I did have a spoiler before going into Rule of Wolves, and that was I had seen, I think it was on Instagram, this post talking about the account's favorite ships in the Grisha-verse, and she was a Darklina fan, and then a Helnik, so Nina and Matthias fan, and she was a Jenya and David fan, and I was like, okay, respect. And then I went to the caption and it was like, after Ruin and Rising, Crooked Kingdom, and Rule of Wolves, you know, my hopes were dashed. And I took that to mean, okay, so we know what happens in Ruin and Rising with one of those. We know what happens in Crooked Kingdom with one of those. So I kind of figured something would happen to Jenya and David, either or, and I was right. Spoilers are, you know, like it's happening. Yeah, I was right. So that was the only thing, though, I had really seen about this. And then I had kind of seen where Nina and Hane got together, so I expected that. But other than that, I really didn't know anything that happened in here. It did take me quite a while to read this, but I attribute that to I was reading it kind of during finals and the end of the semester and move out, and so that was very a lot of my time I was a little preoccupied. And also I work on the weekends now, and I used to read a lot on Saturday and Sunday mornings, like 2 hours each day, and I don't get that time anymore. So it did take me a while to read this, so I'm not sure if that was like due to my circumstances or if it's like a testament to the book, or a combination of both. I've seen a lot of people saying they really had to push through this book, and I can greatly understand that. It really was, I wasn't like, every day I wasn't waiting to read it, if you know what I mean. Like, I had to motivate myself to read it, and that's in part why I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I wasn't like chomping at the bit, ready to read, you know what I'm saying. But it was good. I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about this book or King of Scars. I mean, I know how I feel, but I don't know like my overall feelings and how to translate that into a rating. But I'm sticking with 4.5 out of 5 right now. So yeah, let's just like get diving into it, okay? So first thing I would like to discuss, and looking at my list of notes, it seems like I have a lot of complaints and not a lot of good thoughts, but I think that's just because the complaints were easier to pinpoint. So one of which would be the battle scenes. Before in these books, we've had fight scenes, you know, Six of Crows is filled with them, and I thought she did those pretty well. In Shadow and Bone, we had a couple of battle scenes, but they were really more like skirmishes, you know, and I know it's difficult to write good like war, like 2 lines running. It's difficult to do that, and I've read good battle scenes and I've read bad battle scenes, and this was kind of in the middle, whereas sometimes I could tell what was happening, but sometimes I couldn't. I felt they were kind of underwhelming. Like I wasn't thoroughly, like I wasn't there with them. It felt like I was watching from afar, and I would rather like be in the battle with them. And so because of that disconnect, I felt underwhelmed and like it wasn't very suspenseful. And they were kind of confusing, like I said. Sometimes I had to go back and reread and be like, what's going on? But that happens a lot in fantasy novels, so I can't really hold it against her. I would also like to say the pacing. Like the first 30-40% felt really rushed to me, especially Nina's storyline. I was like, whoa, slow down, guys. You know, I'm a reader who I like one thing to happen, especially at the beginning. Like towards the end, the climax, I know it's going to be rushed. I mean, to build suspense, but I like to have the thing happen and for me to sit with it, and I like to see how it affects everyone, and you know, like long-term effects, and see how it goes moving forward. And I felt like that was kind of missing with this. And Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom were both very fast-paced, and I felt like she got it right in that, so it was just kind of missing. Going off of that statement I just said, I would like to disclaim I'm going to be comparing this to Six of Crows a lot, because I just finished rereading it, and I feel like because I hold that duology to such a, like it's on a pedestal, like God tier, all hail, you know, type thing. So reading this right afterwards maybe wasn't the best idea because it just didn't match the expectations coming off of those two. And really, I don't know what she could have done differently to match those expectations. Like, that duology is so perfect in my mind. I'm not sure there's really anything she could do, but I'm still going to compare it because that's what I have to go off of. And so, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Let's get talking about some scenes I really liked. I loved the reunion between the Darkling and Mal and Alina and Zoya, and Oncat was there, oh my god, and Misha, and it was very intense and interesting, but it was also funny to see how their dynamics had shifted from the end of Ruin and Rising. Like Alina was just so self-secure and confident in herself, and her and Mal, and I actually liked Mal better in like the 10 pages we had him in this than I did the entirety of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I was like, wow, he has some character, okay. Yeah, I just loved seeing how those dynamics had shifted, and like the Darkling didn't really have any more power over her, and he still kind of wielded some influence over Zoya, like she was a little bit more emotional about it, which I also thought was interesting, just their dynamic, and because we really focused on how he abused, neglected Jinya and Elena, but we never really got to see until these books how he affected like Zoya and the other Grisha who just trusted him and followed him. So I thought that was really interesting. I liked those dynamics that were explored. I also loved seeing the Darkling from Zoya's point of view. That was very interesting. And I loved seeing the Darkling from the monk's point of view, and how he was battling Yuri. It was Yuri, right? It's totally Yuri. Okay, anywho. Wow, I really forgot his name. He kind of went away though, so. But how he was battling that reminded me a little of like the Harry Potter Voldemort trope. Like, you're in your mind, so you have to battle the other one, or you know what I'm saying. Okay. And I just liked Alexander's point of view because in Shadow and Bone, and I've mentioned this before, the Darkling is one of my favorite villains. Not in that I love him and like I wanted him to end up with our protagonist. I love him as a character, not as a human being. Like, I loved how complex he was and how she really showed the disillusionment fading over Shadow and Bone. And still in this one, the disillusionment was like sinking, but we also saw it with his new followers and it was very apparent in this how he so easily manipulated people. Like in the show that Netflix did, it was very clear, but reading Shadow and Bone for the first time, I remember absolutely being in love with him and being so shocked that he was evil and everything he did to them afterwards. So I felt like it was nice to see the contrast between Zoya's, like, she knows who he is, she hates him, and then go to being like the people adoring him and believing in him still, and him wielding his power over others actively. Thought that was really cool. However, I do wish, and this is probably one of my biggest complaints about this duology, I wish we had another villain. You know, we had 3 books with him, and I loved his conclusion in Ruin and Rising. His death makes me sob every single time I read it. I literally was sobbing for 30 minutes reading that last part of that book a couple of months ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever. And to me, when an author brings a villain back after we've had a satisfying conclusion to them, it cheapens the other books. Like, I just felt like Ruin and Rising's ending will never have the same impact on me now, knowing that he comes back. And I know he didn't, like, the saints resurrected him, and so he wasn't, like, it wasn't like he was always alive. He did die. But still, I just wish we had another villain. And I know he wasn't really the villain in that. It was more about the political aspect between the other countries that was, you know, the battle. But I still feel like he was the villain. Him and Brum were the villains. And, you know, I liked if we had to have a magical villain that was separate from the political villains, I liked the Saint storyline. I thought that was interesting. I kind of wanted some more of that. And instead it just kind of went away. I don't know. I just feel like Alexander's death in Ruin and Rising was so satisfying and just made the series, that trilogy in particular, feel complete, that it cheapened it to bring him back in any capacity. I am interested to see how his plot line continues in the future. It's very obvious to me she's gonna write more books. She has said it's gonna be a while, but still, just in the future, or however far it might be, I am interested to see how his story goes. So that's my Darkling rant. We're going to move on now to more things. Let's talk about some more scenes. I'm looking at my notes, sorry. Okay, oh, so this is another big thing I would like to mention. I much preferred Nina's storyline in Rule of Wolves to hers in King of Scars. And maybe that was because when I read King of Scars, I was so startled to see her be this major presence that I wasn't fully invested in her story yet. I just felt like it was a lot more interesting to see her being a spy and manipulating Brum and all the other members of the court. And her and Hane, okay. because because I just finished reading Crooked Kingdom and I didn't know anything about these going into it, or what I assumed, my assumptions were incorrect. I liked her and Hane at the end. I'm still not over Matthias. It's Matthias. Me trying to remember how they pronounce it on the show. Okay, anyway. I'm still not over Hilnick. I don't think I ever will be. I really love them. But I am glad she's happy. You know, like, I'm happy she's happy. But I'm not fully invested in their story because in my mind, she's still with Hilvar and, you know, they're happy. And I think a lot of people feel that way. You know, they're hesitant to read this duology because they're like, I don't want to see her with anyone else. And I completely understand. They are pretty cute. Do I ship them? I don't know. I don't know. I guess hesitantly, like, okay. I just love her and Matthias so much. But I do think Hane is like they're a good, I don't know, what's the word, like, they're a good match together. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's talk about it. You know, Zoya and Nikolai. I really do ship them. I really do. And I knew rereading Ruin and Rising, that they were like the main ship of these. And so I was kind of like on the lookout. And when she saved him from his fall, or like they were joking about him asking Alina to marry him, and Zoya was like, I'd be a great queen. You know, I was reading that with new eyes and I was like, okay, I'm seeing the setup here. And I loved them in these. They were the shining bright spot. Definitely the two people I read these books for. I just thought their relationship developed so naturally. You know, we got to see their mutual admiration and respect in King of Scars, and their friendship and their banter, and we got to explore that dynamic of them working together. And I just love how it grew, or like naturally revealed itself to be more. And you know, her confession at the end, I mean, his confession was cute too, but when she was the first one who was like, I love you, I was like, oh my god, did not expect that. Okay. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite part of these books, seeing them too. And I really just loved how we got to see them and to know them as individuals before they became an item. It allowed me to root for them to get together more, and I loved them as individuals before I was able to love them as a couple. And I just really appreciate how they both accept each other for who they are, their good and their bad, and neither of them seem to want to change the other. You know, like, he loves her ruthlessness, but he also loves her soft side, and she's able to share that with him, and he's one of the only people who is able to see it, and she is able to see through his veneer of, you know, the charming, easygoing, crazy king, and see to the boy who just really wants to be loved and serve his country. And I love their dynamic. It's definitely one of the more interesting couple dynamics I've read, because they both seem to be so different, but once you knock back both of their veneers, they're kind of the same, and I just love that. And going off of that, I loved seeing Zoya be vulnerable. I love her badass queen, like, yes, girl power. But I loved seeing her vulnerable side in the garden, and to know that that's where she goes for solace, and she's still mourning all of the people they lost in Shadow and Bone. And that really struck a chord in me. Like, she had flowers for Marie, And I was like, I didn't even really know she cared that much. And I don't know, I just love seeing that. And when she gave Nina her flowers, listen, I was a sucker for that. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, I love them. Okay, Ginya and David's wedding. So cute, perfect. However, reading it in the back of my mind, I was like, something bad's about to happen. And when they said he had gone to bed early or whatever, I was like, and so, you know, the worst happened. David died. I sobbed. I was crying quite a bit. I've always loved them. I love them from Shadow and Bone, which I first read a long time ago. And it really hurt my heart. And she was all alone. And the funeral was really, it got me good. Thanks, Leigh. I was like, surely not, you know, surely not. And then he died. And I was like, wow, right after they got married. Their wedding night. Thanks for that emotional trauma. So, okay, let's see. Another element I really liked was Mayu's story. Because I really liked Isaac's in the last one, and I liked her story in this one. Her dynamic's very interesting to me, you know, her and her brother, and it just showed the more personal side to these soldiers who we've only really seen kill people or try to kill people, and who we've always really seen as villains. So I really liked that different point of view and perspective. Okay, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, seeing the dregs, seeing my babies. Wow, can I tell you, I was really excited to see Kaz and Jesper and Wylan, and they're still living together, doing their thing, living their dreams. Kaz has a tunnel to their house. I was like, oh my god, that's adorable. I loved all of that. And then seeing Inej, at the end, I was like, that's my girl. And the fact that she spotted Alina was like, kind of suspicious. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. Was I geeking out? Yes. And all the interactions between Kaz and Nikolai just made me laugh so hard. The fact that they were both able to immediately see who the other cared the most about and like exploit it. Beautiful. Also, Nina like being this mastermind that she got from Kaz, and that was in King of Scars too, but like she used some Kaz maneuvers. I loved that. I was like, look at them learning. And I love the fact that Inej is like out on the wraith, doing her thing, being the boss, getting people mad at her. Yes, like, get them slavers, girl, do your thing. I just love them, and I'm so excited to see the next Six of Curse book. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm really excited when she was like, the end was, call Kazbrecker, tell her the queen of Ravka has a job for him. I was like, yes. Get the gang back together, come on, do it. Yeah. Can you tell him, like, that was the bright spot. All those things. Okay, so wrapping up, talking about the ending, the last 15% was quite surprising. I read it in the car coming home from moving out of my dorm, and it was really a lot going on. You know, Zoya turned into a dragon. Loved that. Yes. And then the battle, Hane killing Rasmus, everything going on at once. And then, you know, after the battle in Oskervo, Nikolai just straight up making her the queen. I was like, whoa there, did not see that coming at all. I just loved that he was like, Zoya should be queen, period. And it happened, and her coronation, and Alina was there. Oh my god. And I don't know, I think that was the right choice, because you could just see throughout the two books how heavily the crown weighed on Nikolai, and he wasn't able to do all the things he wanted to do in the way that he could do them. So I like that he was able to gain some freedom, and Zoya took the mantle. Yes. Yeah, and then we had the confession, and I was like screaming. I was like, oh my god, in the car. I was like, oh my god, I didn't expect that to happen. Hello. Yeah. So, but the ending overall, I wasn't completely satisfied. You know what I'm saying? Like, I liked how Nina's storyline concluded. Not really ended, but concluded. And I liked how Zoya and Nikolai's concluded. But at the same time, I didn't feel like it was completely finalized. And we didn't really get to see Tamara and Toya as much as I would have liked. The twins are two of my favorite people in the world. So I would have liked to see like them all together. I mean, they were kind of together. But like I would have liked to see a more decisive conclusion to at least this duology in this book. I know there are going to be more books, but you still have to wrap up the previous duology and series. Like Crooked Kingdom, I felt had a pretty solid ending conclusion, even though we're going to have more books. Does that make sense? But I am obviously very excited that she set up more books in the future. So, yeah, I think I'm done with this video. I don't know how long I've been talking. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe in the future I will just read this duology on its own, like not read Crooked Kingdom or anything beforehand. So maybe I can have a fresh new perspective. I don't really know. It was really good. This book is beautiful. I did not mean to twin with the red, but I am. So yes. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your own thoughts and opinions on this and this duology, and if you're excited for the next books whenever they come. Thank you guys for watching. I gotta put the book down to do my outro. Like, subscribe, maybe possibly, if you feel like it. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out. Goodbye. In the video.